Okay, we are live, and if you're just joining us internationally here, my name is Darren Little from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, with the MLM Superheroes, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of what I call millionaire mentoring to really help to peel back the onion, to really get inside to what's going on in here so that you can open up a gateway to a brand new reality, to start to open up what I call the abundance flow. So before we get into that, though, what I want to do here, guys, first of all, I'd like to welcome Mary over on, I guess it's probably it's probably reversed, Mary Barnett. We've got Sonia, and we've got the real Tony Cohen. So, guys, welcome, first of all, to the Millionaire Mentoring.
Thanks, Darren.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So, guys, you know, one of the things that I think that it's very important for people to understand on the pathway to success, because people typically are looking for their answers out here, right? When all of their answers that they really need are inward, in here and in here, right? So there's a saying in the path to success is that your gateway to the future is actually in cleaning up your past. And that's really a challenging path for most people, because the past has a lot of hurts. The past has a lot of pain, right? The past has you know, failed relationships, failed marriages, problems with either your mother or your father, problems with siblings. If you have kids, maybe a disconnect with the children. So what people really need to understand about clearing all of this stuff away, it's like peeling back layers of an onion and getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper inside to get to that core until you finally are prepared to surrender completely. Complete surrender, guys, okay? I'm talking about being a naked soul. Naked, right? No clothes on, completely naked. And I'm not going to ask you to take off all your clothes or anything on the Millionaire Mentoring session, so you don't have to worry about that. But what I want for you to understand, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay? And I want for you to be able to, you know, understand some of my own personal, you know, metamorphosis, so to speak, in going into business. Now, if you take full ownership of this, guys, complete full ownership, that everything that happened in your life, including all the shit that you went through, all the abuse, doesn't matter if it was physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, doesn't matter what it was, guys, all of it was all done by you, to you, so that you could develop other skills, other talents. So the worst things that happen in a person's life actually forge other skills and talents and things that they would never have gotten, that actually become that person and help them to be that motivator, that person that can lift and inspire other people because they've walked through the valley of darkness. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? So, you know, as an example, you know, like one of my things that I had to clear for myself was that when I was a little kid, I never saw my dad. He was never around, okay? When I woke up in the morning, he was already gone to work. And when I went to bed, he was not home from work yet. So I never really saw him. You know, I never really had that, you know, that close relationship with my dad. And my dad came from a very, very poor family, when he was growing up. You know, there was a huge family. There was like 10 kids, and all the clothes were hand-me-down clothes. And he started off working on the railway, and he slowly worked up to the point where he got into the bank, and he worked all the way up over 25 years to get to the top position in the banking system with the Royal Bank, and then he ended up getting into real estate. So, but my dad's upbringing, the way that he was brought up, he did the best that he could at the time for me, based upon his circumstances, his situations that he went through as a little boy, okay? But my dad was very particular. He was a very, what I would call meticulous in his stuff, right? You know, he kept his things a certain way, and he wanted things in a certain place. And, you know, when we used to do the gardening or mow the lawn or whatever, you know, we didn't just, you know, mow the lawn one way. We mowed it two ways, you know, once this way and then once that way, because the blades of grass had to be perfect, and the, you know, trimming around the outside edges had to be perfect. So when my dad would come home from work, he would never say, "Hey, good job," or "Thanks a lot for doing the lawn." He would say, "You missed over here," and then he would keep on walking and going into the household, okay? And that really had a major impact on me in my growing up throughout my life, right? Because it almost felt that, you know, nothing that I could ever do would ever be good enough for my father, right? Nothing that I could ever do would ever please my dad. So it wouldn't matter if I swept out the garage or wanted to make, you know, my dad happy. He would, you know, just drive his truck in and he'd say, "Oh, you missed over here," and he would keep on walking into the house, okay? But here's the interesting thing. As I evolved into my career, I developed certain skills to literally be able to look at a picture across the other side of the room, and I could tell if it was a 1/16 of an inch off balance, right? If it wasn't perfectly square, I could tell. My perception in my eyes got to ultra fine detail in my design with my negative and positive space, and the ability to scan copy and pick out words all the way through the copy that were typos or errors or copy that didn't read properly. I would never have ever developed those skills if I hadn't gone through those things that I had gone through that were my pain that became my talent. Does that make sense? So I would never have been given those things that I got that are actually my assets, right, that in my childhood were my liabilities, right? So it wasn't until I fully surrendered it all, surrendered and relinquished and loved myself enough to forgive myself for creating all of that stuff that I had my real big breakthrough, guys. Because that's when you can fully release your baggage, right? When you realize the huge, amazing assets that you got from all that pain that you went through. Does that make sense? So, you know, what happened was that it wasn't until I fully, you know, sort of drew a line in the sand, right? I needed to get to a point where I stepped into my power and I set my boundaries, okay? I set my boundaries. So what happened was that I had to, for a period of time, and it was the best thing that I ever did, if I look back at my whole path, was I completely cut off all contact. I completely cut off all, I had to, right? I had to completely set my boundaries, right? I said I will no longer stand for this in my reality any longer, right? That's it. And I stated my boundary, right? Now, once I did that, the universe starts to morph, okay? Once you, okay, so you've got 4 key areas. You've got deservability, you've got worthiness, you've got self-love, and you've got boundaries. And it's very, very important, guys. If you want to go from where you're at right now to millions, multiple millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, into billions, these are the building blocks. You've got to understand this little Rubik's Cube. It's like the Matrix, okay? So on the one area, as far as your being, okay, you've got your thoughts that you're going to have to master and be very aware of what's going on constantly in your mind. You've got your words. What are you speaking into the reality, right? What are you speaking into the reality of what do you want to have happen? Do you believe that you can have a $6,000, $9,000, $12,000 day, not month, day, right? Do you believe that to be true in every cell of your body when you speak it into the reality? So what are your words saying into the reality? What are you writing into the reality? What are you projecting into the reality, right? And how does it feel? What is the feeling in your body of it already being the reality right now? Okay? So you got those three things. Your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and then you've got your deservability, what you feel you deserve, right? Your worthiness, what you feel that you're worth, or your self-love, whether or not you love yourself enough to be able to face the man or the woman in the mirror and surrender and say, I love you, Darren, just the way you are. 10 times. Right through your reflection, right through your eyes into the time continuum, because you need to connect with that little boy or girl that's 5 years old, that just needs to have a hug, that just needs to know that everything's going to be okay. And then I accept myself unconditionally, even though a part of me feels that I don't deserve to be successful. 10 times. I'm talking about like push-ups, guys, every single day, okay? Now, here's what's going to happen. At some point in time, something's going to happen, and you're going to be looking at your reflection, and part of your consciousness is going to go right through that mirror into the time continuum, and you're going to have your first level breakthrough. Okay? First level breakthrough. Now, when that happens, everything in the universe shifts. Everything shifts, guys. Right? The whole time continuum shifts. Everything all shifts, right? To open up that gateway to go to the next level, right? But you want to start to look at the past stuff, right? It's almost like peeling back the onion and really looking at the relationships with your mom, right? Because typically in a family, we have one side or the other side that we're closer to. We're either closer to our mom or we're closer to our dad, right? And if you don't peel back the onion, guys, and really understand these key factors, what's going to happen is they start to show up in reflectors in other areas of your life to get you to look inwards, to look back there, to start cleaning up that stuff so that the gateway over here can open up. Does that make sense? Right? So all the stuff back here, if you don't deal with it now, you cannot advance to get to the next levels of the ladder in the game. It's not possible, right? You'll be on what's called the spin cycle, repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over, never getting any further. You're basically just treading water, right? You don't want to be that, right? That's why personal development is so critical on this pathway. That's why personal development and really figuring out what's going on in here. So in other words, if you've never made more than, say, $10,000 a month, you got to start to ask yourself, why? Why is that? I mean, don't you feel worthy of more? Why would you want to block yourself just at that, right? So how are you going to be able to do that? You're going to have to go back here and start to do some more work, right? That's where peeling back the onion starts, okay? So, you know, Mary, I know that you have been, if you can maybe just unmute yourself, you have been on this journey here for maybe about the last 3 weeks. And what I want for you to do, first of all, is if you can just share, just share with here. I want you guys to know this, is that this is a safe place. And if you open up and share, everybody across the panel here will get energy transference. And everybody will go for healing simultaneously. So first of all, what I want to find out, Mary, is maybe just share what have been some of your biggest breakthroughs just in the last 3 weeks.
Focusing on positive thoughts, my thought process. They were very chaotic last year, so, and my life totally represented that. So that self-talk, the mirror work has been one of the biggest breakthroughs for me. Being able to look myself in the eyes and see that little girl. Because I did not grow up feeling that I was loved. So my mother was not a nurturing mother. So, and my father passed away when I was 10. So I felt like I lost my protector and the only person that I felt loved me. You know, and I grew up in a family of 6 kids. So being in the middle, you tend to be forgotten or, you know, just lined up along the wall, and y'all got the same thing. So, yeah, the mirror work, I have to say, has been the best thing for me so far. Well, actually, it's all been really good. Do I need to keep going?
Sorry, I just had to get that. Okay, so what I want for you to look at, because, you know, it's very, very interesting. You brought up some really interesting things right now, Mary, and quite honestly, this could be a major, major breakthrough for you, because you're just talking about being 10 years old. You're holding on to some big stuff there right now. Huge.
Yeah. Well, it's not easy to admit the things that I've done to myself in my life. I mean, to stand up and admit that I was responsible for all the abuse I put myself through. You know, all the bad relationships and all the, you know, just the mental, physical, and emotional abuse that goes with all that. And to realize that I was responsible for that, that I brought that into my own reality. And I think I kind of realized that, you know, years ago, because I've been, you know, desperately reaching out and, you know, doing all these different things to try to find answers on how to turn that around, how to feel better inside, and, you know, and, you know, the path is just keeps leading me forward, but I just never felt quite right inside. I mean, I was still crying at night, you know, for just no reason at all, you know, just crying and just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I mean, it's not easy to sit there and look yourself in the mirror and say that I'm the reason that all these things happen, and that I have to love myself and forgive myself. You know, I'm forgiven for everything. No shame, no guilt. I mean, and just take it for what it is. Have love and compassion and understanding for yourself. You know, the same that you would give to any other human being or animal. Unfortunately, because I didn't see that, so I wasn't getting it. You know, I didn't get it from people, and that's where the abuse came in, because I wasn't projecting that. My thoughts, my thoughts were always negative thoughts. You know, why, oh, poor me, pity this, pity that, you know, pity party. You know, so, I mean, once you take responsibility and you admit to all the things that have happened to you, things change. I mean, this week is even better than the week before. That week was better than the week prior to that. You know, I see a very bright future for myself. Do I still have some things to do? Yeah, I have it's a process. It's exactly like you say. It's peeling back an onion layer by layer. And when you peel an onion, and I peel onions, you cry. I mean, they make you cry. You know, so, and I mean, this stems back to the day I was born, I'm sure. You know, I mean, if I came out of my mother's womb and she wasn't nurturing, what the hell? You know, so I'm sure it stems way back there. Yeah, so.
No, here's the thing, and you know, the great thing about this, you know, Mary, is that just by talking about this, this is so great, because you're actually on one side, right, as being the person in the experience,
Yeah.
and you're also on the other side, almost to the point of being able to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That's a great thing. That means that you're shifting to be able to be to be a mentor for somebody, to explain the time continuum, to explain the negative programming that goes through the whole portion of the reality of no, don't, stop, and be careful, and how that goes over and over and over and over and forms the human condition. A lot of this stuff is going to just start to blossom like a rose just from going through it and having a situation happen like this, because you've got a lot of clarity, right? So I can tell you this, I'll bet you're nurturing with your daughter.
Daughters.
Or daughter. Right?
Yeah.
You know? Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so Sonia, can you unmute yourself? Okay. So Sonia, tell me, where did you get your amazing drive and passion and leadership from?
Where? This is, I have to tell you that I'm very uncomfortable right now. This is so far out of my comfort zone, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to speak and just tell you how I feel right now.
Okay.
As far as just becoming the person that I am right now, actually one of the key people who began to change my life was you, Darren. You were the one that just showed up one day and started talking to me and telling me all of the things that I needed to do to accomplish whatever goals, whatever I wanted. You see, the thing was, I didn't believe that I could do it myself. See, I believed what you were saying, but I didn't believe in myself. And I think you remember this, you know, back, I don't know, this was maybe the May, June, you know, time frame. And you would send me, you know, little messages, and, you know, I would look at them, and they were all positive things that you were telling me. And then for some reason, I pulled away. And again, I think that was because I had all of these self-limiting beliefs, but I didn't understand at the time that that's what it was. I really didn't. I had no idea what was going on. And as you know, you talk about the ego. Well, I would tell you back then, Darren, I don't have an ego. There's no ego here. But see, that was the ego. It's all so clear right now. And I think the ego tries to keep, or it tried to keep me in my comfort zone. And being in the comfort zone means that nothing changes. It means that it stays the same. It means that I can look up a year from now and I can still be in the same position I was in a year ago if I let the ego mind control me. And I realized that I don't want it to control me. I don't want that anymore. So I started really getting into personal development, and I picked up a lot of the books that you recommended. I even did the mirror thing, just like Mary. It was hard at first to look in the mirror and say, Sonia, I love you. That was hard. That was hard to say, you know, I accept myself unconditionally, even though a part of me feels that I don't deserve to be successful. Man, that was hard to do because I couldn't believe that I was feeling that way about myself. As time went on, I did pick up that it was called the Equation for Manifestation with Dov Baron.
Yeah.
I actually, I got that over the Christmas holidays, and there's, he's got some videos in there, and he's actually, he actually takes you through. It's almost like you're in a time zone, and he asks the question, what would your life be at the end of your life if you made no changes now? How would you feel? What would be your life? I mean, how would you feel if you never changed anything and you're at the end of your life? And the words that he used to take us through this time zone, by the time he was done, I was in absolute tears. I mean, absolute tears. I was literally on the floor crying like a baby because I knew then, I knew I had to make a change. I had to change what was going on in my head. And I knew then that the only thing that had been stopping me all of this time was what I was thinking. That was it. Because I look at you, I look at Tony, I look at Mary. What is the difference between us all? What is the difference? That's it. That is absolutely it. And I'm determined to change that. I'm determined to live the life of my dreams, of mine, and I know that I can get there. So just, if anybody wants to know, there were some great books that I've read. This here, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I think this is an awesome book. If you get any book first, I would say get this one. Get this book. Start with this one because this talks about the ego. It tells you word for word how to let go of that, how to get into control of your mind, your ego mind. I've got a few more that I just want to show. The Game of Life. This is an excellent book. Excellent book. And this last one here. Okay, this is what I try to fill my mind with every day. Every day that I wake up. I don't wake up anymore saying, oh my gosh, what kind of day am I going to have today? I say to myself, I'm going to be happy today. I'm going to fulfill my dreams today. And I guess that's
Okay,
it.
so I want to ask you a couple questions now, if I can, okay?
Okay.
Sonia, what is it that you're running from?
What am I running from? It's some sort of fear. I guess that's known, but I don't know what it. I still haven't figured that out. Fear, failure. That's the only thing I can think of. I remember there was a time in my life where there was nothing that I didn't feel that I couldn't do or I couldn't have. Somewhere in the last 20 years, that changed. And I don't know why or when.
Okay, so this is really good. This is really, really good. Okay. So, now keep in mind, Sonia, it's you that is speaking your reality into existence. And I don't believe that you don't know. I believe that's what you're running from. I believe you do know. So what if you did know? What if you were just to surrender to the universe and go, you know what? Let's see, what was I doing 20 years ago? Let's look at my timeline. Let's identify the exact thing. You might have been working for a job. Your boss may have said something to you that embarrassed you in front of people. It could have been something that happened with your family, right? Where you stepped in to become, yes, you took a proactive leadership role and somebody shunned you. Something on that timeline. Now, if you can investigate like a detective your timeline, you will find the time. You will find that part in your time continuum and identify it, right? But here's what you want to say instead of, I don't know what it is. You know what? I am ready to be vulnerable. I am ready to look at my timeline. I am ready to go back into my past to create a gateway to the future because I'm done with it. I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm stepping into my power. I'm stepping into my greatness, and this is it. I'm doing this, and nothing and nobody is going to stop me. Nothing. That's the difference. There's a distinct difference. There's a distinct shift in personal power, right? Because on one side, it's a victim. On the other side, it's a victor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Distinction in speaking the language, right? Because if that's the only thing that's the blocker between you and your dream, holy cow, for me, that would be my full-time job. I'm going to investigate in my timeline, and I'm going to tap into when I felt the best in my personal power. How old was I when I felt unstoppable? How old was I when I could just do anything? How old was I when I just felt amazing and confident, where I was totally stepped into my greatness? I want to know the exact age. What were you doing? What were you thinking? What was going through your head? What kind of job did you have? Who were you going out with in a relationship? What was your world like at that time? When you identify that and the event that created your blocker, you got your gateway right there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, total sense. Yes.
Okay. So now what you want to look at is, okay, because what I feel, based upon your first words that you said on the panel, right, when just you know, Sonia, tell me about how you became a leader. Tell me what, you felt really uncomfortable. Those are your words.
Yes.
Right? You said those words. When I talked about you being a leader, tell me about your great leadership. You instantly pushed back and felt uncomfortable. So my intuition's telling me that something in your timeline is blocking you because you feel that you're going to be judged on the stage.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you're avoiding it, even though you know that you can do it. Something's happened in your timeline that's created that fear of judgment, and it's created a blocker so that you're avoiding going to the next level, because if you do, it's going to mean pain. So let's avoid that, so let's just stay where we are right now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell, everybody here that, I mean, Tony's already gone into doing this on his own, okay? He's doing walkabout videos in the streets on his own, and he's doing sometimes, mentoring where he's just talking to his screen, telling stories. Guys, that's the first level. I'm going to tell you that if you want to go to the next level of leadership, to the big money, right, you're going to have to feel comfortable talking to this, right? Walking along, talking, saying some message. You're going to have to start to get comfortable with that. And you're going to have to start to get comfortable setting up a Google Hangout and talking to the screen about your personal breakthroughs. Now, today, Mary had something really cool happen because she was in two realities at the same time. She was in the early part of her childhood at 10 years old, and she was at the point of being in the recognition stage of seeing her evolution and being a mentor. You guys all witnessed it. Two realities happening simultaneously on the time continuum. Right? That's why I'm saying that the gateway to the future is in cleaning up your past. So somebody says to me, hey Darren, how do you start a business and within 3 weeks start having $3,000 days? How's that possible, right? So what happened when I first started in this particular company, guys? I'll tell you what goes on in here for me, okay? I visualize this higher frequency, right? Almost like Spock from Star Trek. Okay, now Spock from Star Trek has those pointed ears, right? And there's a higher vibration that makes this area right here in your head, behind your ears, right, kind of very alert, very alert. It's a higher vibrational frequency that goes on in the body, right? It's very high frequency. Sometimes there's goosebumps that happen like here, right? I call it Spock. When that starts happening, you move into a higher frequency called split consciousness. Now, in split consciousness, you can be in your body and feel also like you're flying above your body simultaneously, like an eagle flying over top of a blueprint. Now, when I started this particular program, I started repeating 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, just like I did with Platinum 200, right? Just what I do with my chants, right? That's how I became a millionaire. My chant for that one was Freedom 35, Freedom 35, I'm a magnet, I'm a magnet. That was my chant. I started that at 30, and by the time I hit 35, I became a millionaire. It was the chant, guys, right? Because it tunes into the body of the broadcast, the broadcast, the broadcast. So I start chanting that I'm going to be having $3,000 days, $3,000 days. Oh man, it feels so great to have these $3,000 days. I love having $3,000 days. I love having $3,000 days. This is great. $3,000 are coming to me easily and effortlessly. But my vibration starts to move up higher and higher to the point where I start tapping into 9,000, because that's only 3 transactions in a day, right, which is now 9. So my vibration is going 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Now it's going segments of 3,000. Now I've only got 3 transactions. Poof! Now here's what happened yesterday. Okay, there was 2 transactions that came through, 3,000, 3,000, and I'm like, oh, I feel something. I almost feel like I'm at a 9,000 in my body. I feel like I'm at 9,000, right? 10:15, I get a email or a Facebook chat from a lady that reached out to me about a week and a half ago, and she says, hey, Darren, listen, I just want to let you know I'm putting together the I really want to do it tonight, she says. But I checked on the exchange rate, and I noticed that with the difference in Canadian to US, I don't quite have enough money on my card. But if I did, I would do it right now. This is what she's saying in her typing, right? So in my mind, what am I thinking? I did it already. I did it. The 9,000 that I was thinking of, that I thought was going to be in the reality, poof, right? Because her saying, I want to do this right now. I've got 3,900 on my credit card and I need 45 with the exchange rate or whatever, 39.95, but I need up to 4,500 for the US, right? So what I'm saying to you is that when I think about the numbers, though, I'm flying over top of the numbers. I'm looking down at the 3,000. I'm looking down at the 6,000. I'm looking down at the 9,000. I'm not looking up at it. I'm not looking up at Mount Everest. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? I'm looking down. I'm flying over top of it like an eagle, looking down on this blueprint, right, of this money that I'm flying over top of. That's how you get to the higher numbers, guys, right? That's how you get into the higher numbers. They have to be easy. It has to be effortless. So when I'm thinking about bringing in $3,000 transactions, my mind is attracting people that have a $10,000 budget, just so you know, okay? So when I'm thinking about Black Card members, my mind is projecting that I'm bringing in people that have a $10,000 budget. Now, why $10,000 budget, right? Because number one, I don't want them to ever have to worry about, oh, I got to get more cash for my business. $10,000 budget is enough to put them into forward momentum like this, okay? So they've got $39.95 for the Black Card membership. They've got their autoresponder and their system, right? And then I only used $560 worth of traffic to get my business started to go up to 25,000. So I used $560. The $560 created about $750. I took $700 of that. I put it back in. That gave me my first $3,000 day. Then I took $1,400 of the $3,000. I put it back in, right? That got me 2 more $3,000s, right? Then I took another $1,400. I put it back in. Then I had a $7,163 day, and then I just put in another 1,000, just 4 days ago, right? I put another 1,000 in. But yesterday was a $6,000 day, right? So if you look at the right, what happened was that it started off with me already seeing $3,000 days. You have to believe in your mind long before it's going to show up in your bank account that A, you're deserving, B, that you're worthy, C, that you love yourself enough that you're going to surrender and let the abundance flow in. Because you are the blocker between that abundance coming in and it coming in. The only thing between it and you is you. Okay, so if you don't believe that you're worthy and you don't believe that you're deserving and you don't love yourself enough to forgive yourself, to let that baggage go, the abundance is going to go right around you to somebody else, guys. That's how it works. Okay, so do you love yourself enough to have $3,000 payments coming in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a day? Do you feel worthy to have 3, 4, 5 payments coming in a day of $3,000 at a time? Right? Will you forgive yourself, or will you want to keep on suffering? Because that's the only blocker. Deservability, worthiness, self-love, and are you going to set a boundary and raise your standards and draw a line in the sand and say, I will no longer stand for this in my reality any longer. I'm done with it. Period. That's it. Are you prepared to do that? I don't know. Are you prepared to be vulnerable? Are you prepared to look back at your timeline and make that your full-time job, to come to terms, to connect with that 5-year-old little girl or boy that's inside of you that just needs to have a hug, that just needs to know that everything's going to be okay, to know that all of the stuff that happened with your parents, all that pain, all that hardship, all that stuff of them not telling you that they loved you gave you other talents over here. And the void zone between those two is for you to love yourself enough to take ownership of the whole thing and surrender. And yes, it's going to be emotional. Yes, you're going to go through Kleenex. Yes, you're going to bawl your eyes out like you've never cried your whole entire flipping life. So what? Big deal. Because after that, guess what happens? Boom! The magic happens, guys. The abundance starts coming in. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. That's only the first level. It doesn't go away, guys. The human condition doesn't vanish. Why do you think that there's celebrities like Justin Bieber that's worth $200 million that's now on antidepressants and he has a criminal record? Why is that? He's battling the human condition. Why is Johnny Depp in his mansion with an alcohol and abuse problem right now when he's got a hit movie out? And he's an Academy Award winner. What's up? It's called the human condition. Your brain, your human brain, is programmed to self-destruct. And until you're prepared to face that fact that your human brain is programmed to self-destruct, that's fact. And if you do not continue to feed your mind, to proclaim your reality, to surrender to your greatness, to love yourself enough to forgive yourself, to feel worthy, if you don't do that, you will go down the spiral. Seen it happen time and time again. And I can tell you this, guys, once you're through the first phase, right, and you go through all those emotions and everything, boom, you're going to be on the edge between elation and euphoria. You're going to be riding a tightrope between elation and euphoria. If you go too far over the edge, crash. Once you get through the first phase, the first evolution of getting rid of these emotions, and the abundance flow starts to come in, guess what? You got your next universal test now, your ego. Because your ego is going to come back to haunt you. And once again, you're riding a line between your ego and being a humble and servant leader. And guys, you will get tested. I'm telling you for a fact. You will get tested. So just know it ahead of time. Know it ahead of time. You will even witness yourself as the observer being in your ego. Almost like you're another person watching yourself in ego. How about that? But it's all part of the lessons. And it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. You'll get better at playing the game. You'll get better at mastering your thoughts, words, and emotions. You'll get better at loving yourself. You'll get better at surrendering. You'll get better at learning to see when you're going into ego and to pull back the brakes and be like, whoa, that was my ego there. I got to just humble myself right now. But that's all part of your own personal evolution, so that you can share all those tragedies and those trials and tribulations with the people over here that still need to help to get through. Does that make sense? So, Tony, over to you here. What, we've been talking a little bit about, and I'm sure that you've had some flashbacks and all sorts of stuff. Tell me what's going through your head right now.
Right now, it's interesting actually. It's a full circle. And as we've gone through this, I thought, right, I've got to mention that, and I've got to mention that, and I've got to mention that, and it's just gone boom, boom. But the Spock thing, that is, we've had times in our life, and it might be, with me, it was one particular football player in the UK, and you'd watch, and as soon as he got the ball, you'd feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And to some people, it could be an opera singer, or it could be something in nature, but there's something that raises us as individuals on that. Why I'm smiling to myself here, I was late on the call because I made the tremendous error of Dov asking me a question, and I thought I'll answer this in 2 words, which with all of a sudden I went right into my own rabbit hole of, right, okay, I'm with Dov here, everyone's watching, I can hold my own against anyone. And it was interesting. I went into that. Then you messaged me. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm with Dov. Blah, blah, blah. But we actually, Darren and I connected through Dov years ago. So it's a full circle thing. And then Sonia sticks the book right in front of me, and I'm laughing because the first day I ever met Dov, bearing in mind we lived the opposite sides of the continent, he basically stuck that in my hand and said, read it. So I've got the book here. And as you put the book up, my phone flashed, message from Dov Barron. I'm going, all right, like this is some kind of weird setup that's going on here right now. So here's the thing, and I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying. So Mary, my mother died when I was 7. I have no siblings. So I grew up, me and my dad, and I can relate to yourself on this one, Darren. Is my dad worked, in a factory, I always wanted to be an engineer, but at that time, if you were a Jewish immigrant in the UK, because of World War II, you weren't allowed anywhere near, after the war, anywhere near anything to do with engineering, because there was this post-World War, the spies amongst us, blah, 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 blah. And he, as his life went on, I always remember this story, his greatest toy, the one toy he ever had was Meccano, and I'm sure you have it here, which is like a building toy. So he always loved tinkering and building with stuff. Then he went from working in a factory to running a team of, I don't know, sewing machine people, whatever you call them. And then the factory went to move, so my dad, with no business training whatsoever, opened his own business with a partner. Now, even though he had his own business, and I went to a school, and I was literally, well, not literally, I was the quietest kid you have ever seen anywhere. So now when they go on these group things, and I get to hear this thing all the time, and this woman last year said, oh, I can name everyone on that picture. I said, I was in your class. You weren't. I was. I'm on that picture. No, you're not. I said, I am, but you can name everyone on that picture. She named everyone but me. That's how quiet I was. I was the kid where if you got to read out in class, when it's coming around the class, and you got to read out loud, not even standing up, just reading out loud, I'd put my hand up, I need to go to the bathroom, I would run home. I'd just go home. And then the next day they'd bring me back and the same thing would happen again, same thing. And then they'd stop me, they'd literally lock the doors, so I learned how to climb down drain pipes to get out of school. Because I was terrified. I had absolutely zero self-confidence. May have been, you know, if I was lying on a shrink's couch, he could go in there and say, oh, it's because your mother died, da, 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 da. And I was chatting with somebody yesterday and he said, oh, it's very sad, it's terrible. I said, actually, you'll find this strange. It was probably one of the better things that happened to me in my life, not from a what happened point of view, but the byproduct of what happened. So you know, by the time I was 14 and 15, I had the adaptability of better than grown-ups now. So I literally grew up, me and my daddy ran a business. After school, I'd go to a clothing factory, and I would literally run around the factory and make friends and talk to anyone and do my thing. It was kind of my bubble, my comfort zone. But what I also know is if I had to find my way to get somewhere at 14 or 15 years old, you know, like today's kids are pampered. And now when I see people, what are you doing? I'm picking my kids up from school. How old are your kids? 16. What? Why are you picking them up from school? They're adults. And my son, who's 16 years old, he could turn someone 30 years old inside out. You know, I was chatting with him today, what are you doing? And he was complaining the other week, they stopped him going to the gym. And I said, why did they stop you going to the gym? He said, well, like, you know, I've been walking in, and I've not paid for a year and a half. I said, why have you not paid for a year and a half? He said, well, I just walk in, say hello, and walk in. And I went, okay, I can't really say anything, because that's the sort of stunts I would pull in to get into clubs or anything. And he obviously has grown up seeing me doing this stuff. So he said, well, they stopped me going in. They found out I don't actually have a membership in the gym. I said, so you complain, you've had 18 months of this, and they've stopped you, and now you complain you can't go to the gym. So whose fault's that? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, in reality, it's probably my fault, because you've seen me do that stuff. But, you know what? Figure it out. Just figure it out. So just before this call, I got a message from him, so where have you been? Been to the gym. Which gym? The usual gym. Oh, the gym, that gym? Yeah. I thought you were allowed in there. Oh, they got a new receptionist. Okay, and? So I just walked in and said, hi, how are you doing? And walked in. They said, I've been in the sauna for an hour. Well, good for you. So the reality is, I grew up really quiet. I learned confidence by default out of adversity. It was succeed or starve to that degree when I was out knocking on. Someone's complained today about the weather, and I said, I remember with wind chill, it being -27 with the wind chill in Canadian figures. So that's minus maybe 40, probably more in Fahrenheit. Out knocking on doors with no gloves. I remember my face being frozen. My motivation was just to get in and get warm. So I learned it out of diversity. I was a real quiet kid. And then to take it to the next level, you know, Darren and I, you know, we chatted about this, but we've also been on similar courses, and I've been through the whole, as I would describe it, someone puts their hand right down the throat, grabs all your insides, rips them out, and then says, okay, talk to me. And that literally is what it feels like. And Kleenex, nah. You know, rolls and rolls of toilet paper in my case, and I had like this one person doing the exercise on me, you know, it takes about 15 minutes, you know, whatever, you know, I've been through a lot in my life, okay, and it's not the mother thing, it's all the other stuff I've done in my life, which some of it, you know, was a byproduct of my previous careers. And I said, you know, there's things I can't talk about for legal reasons, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then they had a supervisor come in, and their supervisor, it's like a whole, literally, I felt like I was on a TV program or an operating room with all these, you know, psychobabble going on, going like this, and like 3 hours later, they're still asking me the same questions, and it's going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's answers coming out, but they're going, but what caused that? This caused that. And like literally, the rabbit hole started here and just went, and all these people just fell right into it. At the end, I just went, oh yeah, I've got this. I know what it is. It was one thing my dad said to me that I think we've had this conversation, Darren. One thing my dad says, I got it. Okay, I'm good. Let's move on. And they just went like, that's it. I said, yeah. I said, I'm not an emotional person. Do you want to sit down for an hour? No, I've got it. It's out. I found what it is. There's my trigger. Gone. Next. But I will say one thing. I grew up, I went to a school, and a lot of the kids in school came from not super wealthy families, but, you know, well-to-do middle-class families. So they always had the new cars and the vacations overseas, and we didn't. And, you know, subconsciously, back now, it just didn't make sense that my dad's partner was always away on vacation. Well, when he went away, it was overseas, and ours was in the UK. When he got a new car, it was a brand new car, and ours was always a few years old. And I was asking my dad, and he said, well, you know, Freddie, who his name was, he sold a business, so he's got money saved up, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. And I don't know to this day if my dad subconsciously knew something was up, but I kind of felt it. And it's interesting, you know, when my mom died, this is how deep this goes. So I can never, ever, ever remember asking how my mom was till one day driving home in the car with my dad, and I just asked, how's mom? And I remember my dad saying, she's very, very, very ill. And on that 10, 15-minute drive home, that manifested in my own mind. I felt it coming. And, you know, if you've ever seen any of my streams, I'm the least religious person on the planet. Okay, I'm on a completely thing. And I went through that thinking, because of a certain way I was taught at school, that's what it came from. In reality, having studied human condition in a different degree, and we can go into this in a second, I picked up something there subconsciously, that something was slightly off kilter, and it was the same with my dad. And long story short, after my dad, his partner, retired from the business and sold it out, years later, found out his partner had not been paying the company taxes, 25 years worth. And it was the point my dad was maybe 60 years old, had to sell his home, and that was his pride and joy, had to sell his home or end up in jail. And I, you know, offered to help. My dad was, you know, we sometimes we morph into our parents. My dad was like me, just stubborn, just like, no, I got this. No, no, Dad, let me have. My dad thought, you know, I would go over the top with it and whatever. And but when we were growing up, it was kind of that subconscious thing, and this is the self-destruct thing, where, you know, whenever I wanted to do something, the general answer I got back is we can't afford it. So then, when I started making money, I started buying crap that I didn't need because I could afford it. It was almost a seesaw.
Polar opposite.
I couldn't afford. Now I can, so I'm just going to buy loads of it, and I'm going to start sending boxes of it to my dad, which is what I did. But then, you know, the ego thing. I made a lot of money in my early 20s. I became, you know, king of Montreal. I was like 23, 24 years old. Thought I made all the money in the world. It was about 100 grand a year, which, you know, I mean, 24 years old in the 80s, that was, yeah, a lot of money. In reality, you know, I just thought I was untouchable until the bubble burst. And then, you know, I literally had to leave the country overnight, move back into my dad's, borrow 100 off him, live in the spare room, and that's an ego thing in itself. When you call your dad from the airport, say, yeah, can I use your spare room? How long for? Oh, you know, a couple of days, a week, just to get my, you know. Oh, by the way, have you got 100? £100? Do you know how much that is? Yeah, sorry, I'll get it back to you. And £100 was like, I don't know, 1,000. Right then, and to him it was a lot of money. He said, "Where's all your money?" It's a long story. I thought you were making all kinds of money. Where's it all gone? I've got some really nice clothes, and I can tell you some great stories about barmaids if you really want to know. And he went, "No, okay, whatever." And that was it. You know, I had a good time. Then I went through it again, and you know, every now and again we get tested, but we keep getting tested at higher levels. But years ago, it's just funny how life works out. A guy that was ended up at building a networking business from zero. He started his own company. Before that, he used to work. Him and his wife used to work for my dad, working a sewing machine from home. I ended up working with him in some franchises. And he once said to me, "You've got self-destruct all over you." And you know, it wasn't until a year or so ago that I started. And we look at Maslow's levels there. When we get to that self-actualization, where I started really delving deep, and I've just gone through it again, where, you know, what's the thing that holds us back, or what's the thing really that somewhere deep down is holding ourselves back. And to take this to another level, you know, Sonia, you mentioned there that you're out your comfort zone. So one of the things I instruct, as some of you guys might know, I instruct a super high level self-defense program. One of the first things we talk about is situational awareness and reading micro expressions. So I'm treating this as a game of poker when I'm watching people. I'm literally, I don't play poker, but I can read tells. And it's interesting when we can see, and Darren's doing one right now, he doesn't even know. Okay, again. And, but it's interesting. So I'm kind of sat here outside it, and then I don't generally watch these, and sometimes I'll watch something outside myself. But the video thing that Darren spoke about, I always maintained years ago. I got my self-confidence by being thrown on a stage in front of my peers because my sales manager literally was hungover. He had the black shades on, the late Pearson McDonald. He lost his voice, you know, great guy. I learned loads public speaking from him, loads from this guy, loads of life lessons. And one day he shows up and said, "Tony, you got to do the meeting." And I said, "I can't do the meeting." "No, Tony, you got to do the meeting." "I can't do the meeting. I don't know what to do. I'm not standing on there." "All right, let me explain something to you." And Pearson was a big guy, and he just grabbed me and threw me on the stage and locked the door behind me and walked off. I was still a timid guy, and I'm stood in front of 40 of my peers going, "Oh crap, you know, where's the where's the trapdoor that will just vanish me off the stage?" And there wasn't one, and I didn't know what to do. I just said, "What do you want me to talk about? I don't know what I'm doing." And someone said, "Tell us your story." I went, "Oh, that's easy." And within minutes, 5 minutes, all of a sudden, boom. All those years and years of not being able to read out loud, I literally got dragged out of my comfort zone, thrown in front of people, and said, "There you go. No script, no nothing." So to take that to the next level, what Darren's saying there with the videos and the hangouts, this is a complete full circle. I was doing something in a previous business, and I found out a couple of the people on the team started making videos. And I spoke with someone on the team, I'm chatting with them, saying, "What's this thing about making videos? No one's told me about it. This is my team." And he went, "I don't know, they're just making videos." I went, "Oh, screw this, I'm making a video." So got off the phone as I'm walking, turned the phone round. You can see on my YouTube, it's the first video I ever made. It's about how to make a video. I had no clue, never done it before. Turn it around, just start rambling aimlessly about some of my team making videos. This is what I'm doing. And you know what? I really want a glass of wine. I don't know why I'm doing this. As I said it, a wine bar just manifested. Went, "Oh, there we go." Hand it straight in. So from there, back to Dov again. One day, I get all these friend requests, about a dozen of them, and it was Monica, I can't remember the last name, speaker, James, speaker, Anne, speaker, Alan, speaker. I'm going, friend in common, Dov Barron, Dov Barron, Dov Barron, Dov Barron. You know, any friend of Dov's, fine, no problem at all. Accept. And I get start getting messages. Dov's asked us to contact you. And I'm thinking, really? What's this about? I have no clue what's going on. I don't know what these guys are doing. "Yeah, we studied your stuff yesterday." I went, "What stuff?" "Your videos." I said, "What do you mean you study my videos?" "Yeah, on the speakers course, we do half a day on studying your videos, and Dov says, if you want to make videos, this is who you should watch to make videos." And Dov's all about authenticity. I don't give a crap when I make videos, to the point where at one point, Darren, I think you asked me to notch it down just a wee bit, because sometimes I'll go right over the top, and I just don't care. So Dov was using this, and I'm thinking, I'm just out there having fun. I'm not, you know, an acting coach. I just literally, if you guys make a video, here's what you do. It's very, very simple. Very simple. Okay? You can take this to Scorsese. You get your camera, you just get a subject in your head. That's it. You do maybe a 30-second run through in your head of if my subject is, I don't know, something going on with the ice hockey up there in the moment. It could be, I watched the ice hockey last night. It could be anything. It could be your New Year's. It could be what you're going to do for this year. It could be your transition. It could be where you're at right now. It could be, oh my word, I was on this thing last night, this hangout. It took me right out my comfort zone. Let me tell you. So here's how you do it on the videos. You do it, you get a subject matter, you hit record, you talk, whatever. Mine are usually anywhere between 3 and 6 minutes long. So I don't time them. You talk, you upload it, you share it on your Google Plus and on your Facebook. Here's what you don't do. You don't look at it, ever, till it's out there. So it's out there, and you, 10, 2, 3 days later, then I'll look at it. And some of mine, I look at them and just go like, oh my word. Somewhere there's my, somewhere my Christmas message is out there. And I don't, I was having a fun night. So I decided at 8 o'clock in the morning to do a Christmas, this is my Christmas message. I don't even remember videoing it. I have no recollection whatsoever. I made a video at 8 Christmas morning. So someone mentioned it 2 days later. I saw like this, someone's commenting on your video. Okay. And I look at this video, my Christmas message, and I'm going, oh, I don't remember that. And it starts out.
Oh, that's good. Hey, guys, okay, so what I want to do here, just to wrap up, because we're going to get onto the Empower broadcast here shortly. What I want for you to realize from, you know, where you're at right now to where you need to get to, right, is your gateway, and it's all in the past, guys. If you really dive back and peel back the onion, and you get to those 1 or 2 key events, and you realize that something in that event changed your path. It changed your self-talk, it changed your thought pattern, and it changed your confidence and your self-esteem of who you are as a leader. Now, the only way that you're going to be able to go from here to here as far as your income is you literally have to put your feet to the fire. You've got to step outside your comfort zone. You've got to start to do things that, like Sonia was saying, geez, I feel really uncomfortable about this right now. That's what you need to be doing. That's your gateway, young lady. That's your gateway. So in the event that you've identified that, you know, getting on stage or doing something like this, you have a fear of being judged, you need to literally face it head on, full speed ahead, like it's your #1 full-time job to break through this fear and step past it, right? Because that's going to be your gateway to the next level of income, okay? So, and once you do it, you're going to do it and go, oh, wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. Boom, you've got your first notch. It's like putting a notch in your belt, okay? So it's going to be one little notch, the next little notch, the next little notch, and all of a sudden your physiology is going to shift and you're going to be back to where you were back in that timeline, and that space is going to be erased and you're going to be past it again, tapped into your power from your past and moving forward into your future. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Mary?
Total sense.
Okay.
Yes, completely.
So, you know, what I will put out to here, guys, is that I want to just share with you in closing how I personally got from a complete flat start to $25,000 in 65 days and created a $3,000 monthly residual income, okay? The first thing that I did was I created I am proclamation statements, and I speak them into their reality, okay? Constantly, 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 right? You know, I already believe in my body that my reality is the way that it is. Because I wanted to prove to people that within a 90-day period of time that I could make enough money that an average person working a 9-to-5 job was going to have what I call a cushion to leave their 9-to-5 job and have their exit strategy to be a full-time entrepreneur, right? So if you had $25,000 in the bank plus a $3,000 monthly residual income, would you feel pretty comfortable, guys, in making that transition over? $25,000 cash, $3,000 a month in residual. You probably feel that you could step into becoming an entrepreneur full-time, correct? Yeah?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I did was that I already believed that the forward momentum was happening, and I already started to visualize, like I start dealing with crunching big numbers. So I go, okay, well, you know, somebody say to me, Darren, how much money do you want to make? Well, I want to make at least 7 figures. Okay, so what's the numbers? 1 million divided by 3,000 is 333, right? And I know that if I work with a smaller team of leaders, right, that 1, 3, and 5 are pass-ups, and every 5th sale after that's a pass-up as well, right? So now I could take that 333, I might even be able to drop it down to 60 or 70, right? Take 60 or 70 people, help them to get qualified with 5, right? So what's 60 times 3? I'm already at 180. I'm already halfway there, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you start to chunk it down, it makes it a lot easier for your subconscious mind to go, oh, that's easy. I could do that, right? So that's how you want to get in your belief level. But remember, I'm not looking up at the $3,000 payments. I'm flying over top, looking down at the $3,000 payments. And it's a big difference. It's a major difference in your energy, in your physiology, in your body when you're an eagle flying down, looking at your blueprint of where you're headed, right? With those $3,000 payments. So as my campaign rolled out, and you know, congratulations, Mary, for I just saw you take action and actually implement this, and this is what did it. So I did my media buy, and I want to naked soul, complete vulnerability, right? I got nothing to prove to anybody. I just wanted to show people how to do it and what the facts are. What are the facts? The facts are I put $560. That gave me 800 unique visitors. I think it generated 223 leads. It did 28 sales, 14 team members, and it generated like $583. So I put that data into social media. I put that data out to my list, right? Hey guys, I'm just rolling out this campaign. I want you to be able to follow it firsthand so you can see the results and see the evolution happen as it happens, live. I'm going to take you right behind the scenes. I'm going to show it to you all so that you can see it all happening live, right? So complete vulnerability. So I showed all the data. And then as that started to turn into some cash flow, there's a couple areas that, you know, you could pull data from, right? You can pull data from your residual income, and you can pull data from your sales, and you can pull data from your, what did you do today, yesterday, last week, last month, da-da-da, across the top. You can also pull data from where you're ranking on the leaderboards, right? So all those things are complete vulnerability. That's complete, the naked soul, guys. Naked soul, okay? So what I did then, as the campaign started to roll out, you know, I'd be like, day 5, boom, there's my data, you know. Day 8, here's my data. I can't believe it. In 24 hours, I've done da-da-da-da-da-da-da. More data, right? Oh, look what happened. I just made a $3,000 sale. More data, screenshot, background, proof, right? And always put the Empower Network disclaimer, the income disclaimer underneath it on every post, every email, everything that you put where you're showing any type of numbers. You want to put the income disclaimer on the bottom, because individual results may vary. And somebody says, Darren, how long is it going to take me to make that type of income? And what I say is, how long is it going to take you to become a leader? Because that's the distinction, just so you know, right? You don't start a business and money just starts to, poof, magically start showing up. You got to deal with what's going on in here. You got to deal with what's going on in here, in your heart, right? And you got to deal with what's going on back there in your time continuum so that you can get to there, which is where you want to go. So when you can make the shift, right, where your pain actually becomes your fuel, like jetpack on your back, right? That's the shift. So instead of your pain being your burden, it becomes your jet fuel, right? And that's the shift. That's the breakthrough. That's the transformation for you to realize that your pain is really what gave you all your talent, your skills, everything that you're at right now, in your ability to be a leader, and all the stuff that's on this side was all forged and morphed and molded and sculpted by all that went on back there. And the moment that you can make that shift, boom, that's where you get your breakthrough. That's where it goes to the next level, and that's where you can now be that person to inspire and motivate and lift other people up to help them to tap into their power and tap into their greatness to be all that they can be too. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. Mary, any closing thoughts?
Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself.
Mary?
Yes.
Can I just interject there?
Sure.
Our subconscious doesn't understand the word don't, can't, won't.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know why I said that.
All right. I'll tell you right now, Mary, don't play poker.
Bad habit.
Don't play poker with me, and I can't even play, but you've got huge tells. So it's like when you ask someone how they're doing, oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. Their subconscious hears bad, bad, bad.
Right.
And I spoke with somebody else about this today, where everyone's, you know, don't quit, don't quit. Well, why you tell yourself that? Just keep going. It's different than don't quit. The same thing. So be mindful of your self-talk. And
Yes.
it's a process that can be expedited by your circle of 5, where you're getting your input from. So you've got people around you right now, and it's a process. And generally, one quick way, when I've worked with people in the past how to do this, the most common question we're asked every day is what? What do you think?
How you doing?
Yeah. The most common answer is?
How you doing? I'm awesome.
That's not the most common answer. The most common answer is not bad.
Not bad.
Oh, not bad. That's right. Not bad. Yeah.
Self-talk and everything, your physiology will change with that response that happens, and it's a 28-day process of saying the same. How are you doing? Fantastic, 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 fantastic. So the point at which your physiology changes, your vibration changes, and the people, when you walk in the supermarket and they're giving you things, how are you doing today? Fantastic. Why? What happened? Nothing. It's just fantastic. So listen, before I get on here, one quick thing for both you guys. I did a video today about procrastination and intent. Or was that yesterday? I've lost track. Why don't you do this? Set out your intent, both of you, to make a video tomorrow, as I've just suggested. And you've both got your own stories. You know, you could literally make a 360-something day video story. Do one a day. I try and do at least one a day walk around video. And what happens is you get your inbox full of thank yous. I can't thank you enough for the videos, and I'm going like, what? What did I do? I'm just out having fun. Oh, I went through a tough time last year. It turns out this guy's mother died, and he went through a tough time, and he was watching my videos every day. And I've heard this so many times. I'm going, you know, in my mind, I'm just out there messing around, having fun, having a blast, and people get some value out of it. So when it comes from there, and literally no Nothing. Wide open, just you and the camera walking. People around here must think I'm nuts. I walk around, I'm streaming to the camera, and they must think I'm one of New York's crazies with a camera. I just do my thing and then just get it. I don't never check them. Just post it, get it, and you'll take it to the next level, the next level, the next level. Boom, 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 instantly. Start tomorrow. Tomorrow.
I got to get off here and get onto the Empower broadcast here, but thanks for your participation. It's been amazing, and I love you guys. You're awesome, and great things ahead.
Okay, guys. See you soon.
Bye. Bye. Thanks.